Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Unity. I'm Reverend Marla Mason, and it is a blessing and a privilege to serve as your minister this morning. Just like always, I'm so grateful to welcome you into the sacred space that we call Unity of Bellevue. It's a place where we are practicing waking up. We are practicing the spiritual principles that awaken us to a more empowered way of being in the world so that we can be agents of positive change in the world. We are here to love God, to love one another. We are here to grow in our spiritual understanding, and we are here to serve the greater good. And I'm so grateful to be in this very high and sacred purpose with all of you. There are others who are in this very high and sacred purpose with all of you, and serving us this morning are some of those folks. And I want to introduce to you them. I want to wow, I need to warm up. I want to introduce them to you right now. First, our prayer chaplains today, the folks who are really leaning into the consciousness of prayer for us, are Lori Coleman and Jennifer Holt. Thank you for being that consciousness of prayer for us today, and know that they will be available to you at the end of the service to stand in prayer with you. And there are a couple of other ways you can make a prayer request as well. You'll learn about that a little bit later. Our board host this morning is Jean Polmatier. Thank you, Jean, for standing in leadership for the business of our center today. And Dorothy Bostetter is here with us today to provide announcements, because guess what? Monica is taking a Sunday off. Like that, almost never happens, does it? But we have invited her to, she's taking a little bit of time off. And so Dorothy is in for her on announcements, and supporting her time off in producing our service this morning is our beloved Sabrina. Thank you, Sabrina McFadden, for stepping forth in that role today. She's also our youth and family leader, and we are really, and our volunteer coordinator, and we're really grateful to have her in service to our community. Finally, I want to introduce Leora Cash. She and Jay Krebs are our guest artists this morning. Always a blessing to have them with us from the far north, Vancouver, BC. And I am grateful to call Leora and Jay friends and friends of this community. I first met Leora, I think it might have been, I think it must have been at CSL Vancouver, Center for Spiritual Living in Vancouver, British Columbia, when I was speaking up there one time as a guest speaker. And so thank you, Leora, for being such a steadfast friend of our movement and me all these years. And I know she and Jay have some really special music for us this morning, so I'm turning it over to them.
Thank you, Reverend Marla, and thank you for inviting us to be with you this beautiful Sunday morning, together creating sacred space. There's a new church on the horizon, made of light, not of stone, calling out to all creation, you are not alone. Lions and lambs, saints and sinners, best of friends, enemies, woman and man, losers and winners, they're all in you and me. We are one heart, looking for answers. We are one soul, fighting our way through the dark. One dream, we dream together. We are all a part of one heart. Out in the cold, there are faces hidden by the wind and the rain. Hold out your hands, someone will take it and bring you home again. one soul, one dream we share together. We are all apart. We are one heart looking for answers. We are one soul finding our way through the dark. One dream we share together. We are all apart. We are all apart. We are all apart.
And so I invite you to breathe in to that awareness of oneness, of unity, beating our very hearts. The one life that resides at the core and the center of each one of us, enlivening us, animating us, opening our hearts, our minds to everything that is about to unfold this day. We simply make ourselves available to it. We make ourselves available to the greater idea of love, of grace, of power, of wholeness. And in that willingness to be available, it makes itself known. And we claim it and we name it good. And so it's in this consciousness that I give thanks for the for the opportunity to come together in spiritual community this morning. I know that as we show up present and awake and aware and alert, a mighty blessing descends upon us like a mantle of peace. And we become a greater blessing in the world. And so it's in that awareness that I open this sacred and holy time together. And I call it good. And so it is. Amen. I'm going to read through our affirmation once, and I invite you to hear these words, to simply let them permeate your consciousness and every cell of your being. Wherever I am a presence of divine love. We are the stuff of spirit itself. As we go and grow further together, we create a world that works for everyone. And so it is. Allow that in. Feel it, feel its vibration begin to resonate within you. And I invite you to now declare these words aloud with me and with conviction. Wherever I am a presence of divine love. We are the stuff of spirit itself. As we go and grow further together, we create a world that works for everyone. And so it is.
You gotta start with what you got. No sense worrying about what's not. You already have what you need. Underneath your fingertips you see everything you need to succeed. You can get what's not. You already have what you need. Underneath your fingertips, you see everything you need to succeed. Can't spend your life waiting in the wings. It takes courage to do those things that your heart has been dreaming about. It's the journey, not the end result. You gotta start with what you got. No sense worrying about what's not. You already have what you need. Underneath your fingertips, you see everything you need to succeed. Though the journey's hard, you just can't wait. You fall 7 times, just stand up and difficult will make us stronger. Impossible, well, you know it just takes a little longer. The past has passed, I know that's true, but start from now and make the journey new. You gotta start with what you got. No sense worrying about what's not. We already have what we need. Underneath the fingertips, you see everything we need to succeed. We gotta start with what we got. We gotta start with what we got. Okay, let's get moving, feet.
Amen. We start where we are and with what we got, right?
Yes.
Let's just be about that. We're just about that, like so much freedom to be who we are, so much freedom to express authentically and fully in the world when we know the past is gone, man. The future isn't here yet. Let's be present to what we have and how it is expressing so fully and perfectly in this moment. You know, all month long here, we're talking about how we go further together. How, you know, we're powerful as individuals. There is no doubt about that. As individuals, we are powerful, and yet together, our power is exponentially multiplied. And we go further, and not only do we go further with a greater sense of presence and ease and grace. And that is what we are about, right? Presence, ease, grace. All, in my mind, characteristics of love. We are here to love. And so this month we've been talking about the idea that unity, you know, we provide a spiritual home for people who are ready and willing to be on a conscious spiritual journey. We are a spiritual home for those who wish to experience powerful spiritual awakening in supportive community that is about making the world a better place for everyone, that is about personal transformation that empowers local and global transformation. Because I don't know about you, but I kind of think the world is ready for a little bit of transformation. Yes? A little more love. Okay, a lot more love. A little more inclusion. I'll mean a lot more inclusion. A little more affirmation, a lot more affirmation. This is what is this is our opportunity, because what we know is that there is an infinite presence that we call God, and this infinite presence is the power of love, and we know that. And our spiritual practice, our spiritual awakening, is about becoming conscious agents of that love. So welcome into that opportunity. I've been thinking all week about this little rodent that I talked about last week, the little rodent that takes the Brazil nut seed that falls to the ground in South America. It takes the Brazil nut seed, the Brazil nut that falls off the tree into the ground, and it cracks it open with its super strong jaws, and it nibbles on part of the seed, and it buries the rest. And as I said last week, that seed then just sits there until conditions are just right, and it grows a hazelnut tree. And indeed, that is the only place a hazelnut tree has ever come from since it evolved into a hazelnut tree. And I've been thinking about the symbiotic relationship between the tree and the rodent, and how the individual activity of the tree dropping the seed and the individual activity of the rodent picking it up and cracking it open and burying the seed, how there is nothing happening with the one without the other. And what a lovely idea that the rodent buries the seed. One of the things we've been talking about in our, we're doing a class this fall on Brene Brown's Gifts of Imperfection class. And one of the things we've been talking about is Brene Brown's notion of how to dig deep. And that little rodent digs deep, it plants the seed deep. And life is born of the dig deep that this rodent engages in. You see, when we dig deep, when we plant fertile seeds in the soil of community, something wonderful comes forth. Blessings come forth. A whole grove of Brazil nut trees comes forth. Love is made manifest in the world by the power of our willingness to bury seeds of truth everywhere we go. And what a beautiful idea. So I thought this morning we'd talk about how digging deep supports us in going higher. And I'm going to use some of the information from this book, The Gifts of Imperfection. It's the study book for our class this fall. If you haven't read this book, oh my gosh, get a hold of it. It's delicious and beautiful and wonderful. Brene Brown is a powerful teacher of self-love, right? Because that's where love starts. And so her notion, kind of the theme of all of her teaching, which you've heard here before, you heard Nathan Aswell sing about it. You've heard me talk about it. You've heard other teachers talk about it. Her kind of theme is the idea of moving into an awareness of wholehearted living. And she says wholehearted living, in fact, I'm going to quote it directly because I use it so much. I think I've kind of summarized it in my mind, and it might come out my mouth that way. Here is her definition of wholehearted living on page 1 of this book. She says, wholehearted living is about engaging in our lives from a place of what? Worthiness. Engaging in our lives from a place of I am enough. What a beautiful idea. She says, it means cultivating the courage, compassion, and connection to wake up in the morning and think, no matter what gets done or how much is left undone, I am enough. It's going to bed at night thinking, yes, I am imperfect, I am vulnerable, and sometimes afraid, but that doesn't change the truth that I am also brave and worthy of love and belonging. And she says that when we are living wholeheartedly, when we are living from this consciousness, we are living in a way that cultivates that courage and compassion and connection that supports us in truly becoming more authentic and more real. And if that isn't the spiritual journey put into secular words, I don't know what is. We're here to wake up to the spiritual truth of our being and become more authentic to it. And she says that this idea of digging deep is a central idea to how to move into a bigger consciousness, a greater consciousness of wholehearted living. And she gives the example of the old school dig deep. And, you know, I'm totally familiar with this. The old school dig deep is when you are at the end of your rope, when you have used up all your energy, when you just don't know what to do anymore, when you are tired, when you are weary of the challenges of life. You know, we just dig deep. I can work just a little bit harder. I can give 5 more minutes to my kids. I can get this laundry done. I can get this thing done. I can make that happen. I can dig deep to the bottomless resources of my energy. And her point is that that kind of digging deep is not generative. That kind of digging deep is not wholehearted living. That kind of digging deep is relying on our human resources, which are finite. Our spiritual resources, infinite. Our human resources are finite. And that kind of digging deep keeps us stuck in our unworthiness. It keeps us stuck in our finite ideas of ourselves, in our limited ideas of ourselves. So she talks about a new kind of digging deep, a new way to get in touch with our authenticity and who we really are as spiritual beings, to empower us during those times when weariness seems to overwhelm, or when our not enoughness seems to be taking over. And if you have the book, this is on page 4. She says, digging deep in a life-affirming way is about 3 things. It's about getting deliberate, it is about getting inspired, and getting going. DIG, right? Deliberate, inspired, and going. And I want to give some attention today to each one of those ideas and talk about what they might mean in terms of how they lift us individually and spiritually, individually and collectively, into a greater way of being, such that we become transformation agents for our own lives and for the world. So here's what she means when she is talking about digging deep. What she means and how how I am attempting to internalize this practice. She says, digging deep, number 1, get deliberate, right? That's the D, get deliberate. And she says it's about getting deliberate in our thoughts and in our behaviors. It's getting deliberate in getting deliberate, she says, through prayer, through meditation, perhaps simply through setting intentions, but becoming more deliberate such that we are getting in right relationship with the infinity of our being, with that greater something that is infinite and can support us in becoming more generative of the energy we need to get through this situation, rather than digging for our last human shred of emotion, of energy, and doing something feeling like victims and bad and like there's just never enough. Rather than going there, how do we dig deep into that infinite storehouse of spiritual energy that can sustain us and lift us through these times of weariness or fear or seeming disconnection? How do we get in right relationship with spirit so that we can be sustained by its nature? So that how do we, in traditional language, how do we seek first the kingdom so that all else can be added unto us? Because that kingdom is an infinite kingdom. It is a kingdom of consciousness. It is the kingdom that Jesus came here to be an exemplar of for us. It is the kingdom of God. And that kingdom is a kingdom of peace and love and power and grace. And it is infinite, and it will sustain us through our fear, through our weariness, through our illness, through our whatever is going on. It will sustain us as we are willing to turn to it rather than turn to the infinite, the finite resources, rather than turn to gossip and complaining and whining and it's never enough and or pull the covers over our head, it's not happening to me, our denial. Rather than turning to all of that, how do we turn to God? And my personal opinion is God is more important than anything else in your life or in my life. Because when we seek that first, right? When we turn to God first, we become the kind of people where divine right relationship can make itself known, where our perfect opportunities for career, for life, for home, for whatever it is that's up for us, our perfect opportunity is made known because we've dug deep. We are seeking first the source of infinite presence. And when we put other things first, we don't have the resource to embody all that wants to be embodied in our lives. So first we get right with spirit by getting deliberate. And how we get deliberate in our practice here in Unity, how we get deliberate in our practices through the spiritual practices of prayer and meditation, right? We stop, we take a deep breath, we get quiet. This is why we do the meditation service every Sunday at 10 a.m. Not just so we can get together and meditate together. Yeah, sure, that's part of it. But it's also to teach you that skill, that practice. Oh, I can, it's not Sunday morning at 10 a.m., but I can still do that. I still have the skill because, once a week I've been practicing, and all I need to do is sit down and call forth that practice I've been doing, and I can begin to meditate right here all by myself and use that as a tool for digging deep to access the infinite spirit deep, deep, deep within me. Its presence, it's that which will truly sustain me. And so we simply get quiet. And we breathe and we make ourselves available to that essence and to that energy. And as we feel ourselves begin to center in that, affirmative prayers simply begin to bubble up from deep within. All that is required to meet the demands of this situation is already provided to me. I am centered in the infinite mind of spirit, and it provides infinitely for me. As I seek first this kingdom, I know that all else is added to me effortlessly and easily. You see, when we do this kind of dig deep, something really powerful happens. And sometimes, Actually, I'm not going to say that yet. I am going to say that. So this is what it means to get deliberate. And when we've gotten deliberate, we get inspired. See, somehow we think I want to get inspired to right action without getting deliberate first, without tuning into the infinite presence. I want to be inspired to right action. And trust me, I have tried this shortcut 1 billion times. I will always get lost. I have always gotten lost. Every time I try the shortcut from what seems to be need or disconnection or fear or a lack of resources or anything like that, when I try and skip right to inspiration, I get lost. Because inspiration comes from deep within. Inspiration comes from the infinite mind. True, capital I, inspiration that is spirit led, comes from that place. It doesn't come from me or my thoughts or my ideas or I have to get consciously connected, awake to, alert to available to that higher mind by getting deliberate first. And now I am inspired to right action. Now I am inspired to right thinking. Now I am inspired to being more and more and more as God would have me be. And sometimes when I get inspired in the midst of a dig deep situation, the inspiration is some kind of solution or idea for addressing the whatever is up for me. Sometimes the inspiration is go take a nap, sister. Sometimes the inspiration, Brene Brown talks about, finally pulling out that movie and watching that movie that she hasn't been, she's been gonna do, like this thing that she really wants to enjoy for herself that she hasn't done. You see, something that is self-nurturing. Sometimes the inspiration is girlfriend, guess what? You need to make some new choices. You need to make some new choices about how you spend your time, about where you put your attention. You need to make some new choices about how you are in your world of work. You need to make some new choices in your relationships. Sometimes the inspiration is big, like that. And sometimes it's just a little thing, like go take a nap, sister. But the inspiration will always lead you to the G, which is get going, right? Right decision, like go take a nap. Believe it or not, as inactive as that may appear, it is activity, right? Because it is going to rejuvenate us. It is going to give our minds and our hearts the opportunity to unconsciously process whatever is going on for us. And when we wake up, we are refreshed and renewed and ready to face that fear with courage and compassion for ourselves and for others. We are renewed and ready to face that new choice in a way that is life affirming for us and for everyone around us. Sometimes it's just time to make new choices. And I saw something a few months ago, actually it's longer ago than that now, that has been kind of rolling around in my head about new choices ever since I saw it. And I won't be able to quote this exactly right, but it was something like, don't continue in a mistake just because you took a long time making it. Oh my gosh. How many times have I continued in a mistake? Well, I chose this job. It is great. And I'm not talking about my current job because I love my current job, but I'm talking about, some past work experiences where, you chose this, you need to stick it out. You're dependent on, this salary and these benefits and this thing. And you're just becoming more and more miserable, right? And it's just getting worse and worse. And you just keep making that same mistake day after day after day. I knew when I took that job, the one I'm thinking of right now, I knew when I took that job, it was a mistake. It was not the right job for me, right? And I continued making the same mistake because, well, now I've got this invested and I'm only so far from being invested and like all the things that go on in your head. Don't continue in a mistake just because you took a long time making it is kind of one of my new mantras, because the sooner I move out of it, the sooner I can start building something new by going back to the D, getting deliberate, doing my spiritual practice, asking the universe, what is up? How am I to move through this with courage and compassion? How am I to move through this? What is mine to be? And you see, I really think that is key here. Not what is mine to do, but what is mine to be in the midst of this situation. It is clear to me I need to transition out of this job that I've been referring to that was quite a number of years ago. It's clear to me that I need to transition. What is mine to be in the process of that transition? Like I can get mad and I can go there and I can slap my keys down on the desk and I can walk out the door. That's one way to be, right? But there's another way to be: at peace, responsive rather than reactive, to give a month's notice, to clean everything up, to do it right, to be present to everything that I learned there. to receive, the feedback of my boss and my peers, even when it might trigger me a little bit. Do you see? And so it isn't so much about what I have to do. It is, I get inspired to engage in right action, but getting deliberate and being inspired is also getting inspired into a way of being, right? Patty and I found out a couple weeks ago that we have to move before this summer. And we thought we had 4 or 5 more years in this home. And we don't. Our landlord wants our house back, which is fine. I mean, I completely support that. But my first reaction was like, oh my God, all this stuff we've got, and we thought we had more time, like all of this stuff. But when I get deliberate, when I turn within and I pray and I meditate, I get inspired to understand I get to choose how, this transition is happening. It's going to happen like lovingly and beautifully, or it's going to happen dragging my feet and in all the difficult ways. And so how do I want to be? Well, you know what? I want to be in a sense of ease and grace and poise. I want to know that, our perfect divine right home just naturally shows up for us. I want to be that, divine mind already knows where we're going. All is already known to the mind of God. All I need to do is be present to that. And I want to stand in gratitude that our landlord is loving and alert and awake enough to say, in 9 months, I need my house back, right? So we have plenty of time. Do you see? So it's not necessary. It is about making new choices, but the choice is not always what to do. Often the choice is, how am I going to be with what already is? And the moment I shifted into that choice, like anything that felt like burden about this just fell away. And now it feels like an adventure. Oh my gosh, where is this going to take us? What's next for us? What is the divine right home that God has for us? And I begin to move into a greater sense of adventure. And you see how much more easily that makes getting going feel? The G of digging deep. You see, I do the practice. I take the steps. I open my heart. I start to practice envisioning us in our divine right home. And for you, it might look like you take the class, you end the relationship. Sometimes you start the relationship. What's the relationship you've been dragging your feet on? Like, oh, that's too big a risk. Sometimes you start the relationship, you invest. Sometimes you're already in the relationship. You're just not invested in it. Right? And you begin to, with a sense of freedom and grace, be invested in the relationship in new ways. Whatever it is you are called to do and you're getting going, you're doing it from a certain place, from a certain awareness, a certain consciousness, because a big thing in your life or a small thing in your life, if you dug deep, divine right action and activity will start to unfold all around you, because God has only you to express through. And as you get all of the barriers out of the way, the fears and the separation and the division and the duality and the ideas that, I'm not enough and you're not enough and these people don't measure up, but I'm better, or I don't measure up and they're better, like whatever the false ideas are, as you begin to get deliberate to connect in a greater way with that infinite presence, as you dig deep, as you plant the Brazil nut seed of life deep in the soil, God expresses more easily and more fully through you. Your inspiration takes root deep. And you get going in ways that are life affirming and will always generate great results for you. Always. Even when they don't. Do you get that? It's kind of paradoxical. Oh, wow. Okay, well, that didn't work out so well. But I dig deep again. I get inspired again. I get going again. And I take what I learned from the one that didn't work out so well, and I move into that next step or that next stage of being more evolved, more clear, more centered, because I was seeking first that kingdom and everything else was added unto me. And now I'm going to do it again and again and again and again and again. And so as you consider this idea of digging deep, of getting deliberate. I'm going to invite you to begin to think towards 2022, both for you and for your spiritual community here at Unity. Every year, this time of year, we talk about stewardship. We talk about what are the ways that I am called to support my spiritual community financially in the new year. And we do that for two reasons. One, so that your board can plan its budget for next year, but also so that you can declare an intention and begin to dig deep around it. And that's a powerful spiritual practice, right? And for a lot of us, especially around money and cash flow. And so, you know, God has asked us to dig deep this year. I've asked you all to dig deep this year in this kind of strange pandemic environment, as so many things have changed for our spiritual center. And I want to start by letting you all know that the board, your board of trustees, and I have made the decision to reopen our building on December 5th. And I am super excited about it. I can't wait to see y'all there. We will be home for the holidays, as it were, in December. It feels like all things are pointing to yes right now in a more powerful way than it has since the beginning of this thing, our first Sunday online back in March of 2020. So we are doing lots of things, getting ready to go, and you're going to hear more about that. But there are two things I want to invite you to think about as we move into this time of preparing to reopen our building, and as we move into this time of intention setting for 2022. The first thing is, what are your personal intentions for 2022? And when I talk about intentions, I'm talking about in the dig deep context. I'm not talking about my goals for 2022 are these 6 things. I'm not talking about goals. I'm not talking about here's what I'm going to accomplish. What I'm talking about is, how do you want to be? How do you want to be as you move through the end of this year, through this transition in our community, and into 2022? What are your intentions? How do I want to be? How have I, how do I want to approach my year with grace and ease and joy, with a sense of, what's coming up for me in the next year, and how do I intend to be present to what that is? And so that's the first thing that I invite you to be with is what are my personal intentions for 2022? The next thing I invite you to begin to consider is, what are my intentions for unity, for our collective? What are my intentions for our community that we call Unity in 2022? And then the third thing to consider is, what are my intentions for the world? As we set individual intentions, remember, the collective consciousness raises all boats. What are my intentions for the world? How do I want the world to be present to all of the opportunities and challenges that we face? And I invite you to think about those things this week. Get deliberate with those things. And I don't necessarily want you to identify those intentions. What I invite you to do this week is just get deliberate. Just start practicing, start asking the questions, to pray, to meditate, to be present to those questions, and begin to see what bubbles up for you. And next week, you're going to learn from us how you can declare those intentions in a concrete way, and send those intentions into us, so that when we come back on December 5th, you are going to see a physical representation of your intentions. It's going to be lovely. And I'm super excited about it. But we're not going to tell you more until it gets a little closer. This week, you're getting deliberate prayer, meditation, being alert to asking the questions, and begin to allow the divine download to come. Get inspired around defining these 3 intentions for your personal life, for our spiritual community, and for the world in 2022. And over the next few weeks, I'm going to invite you also to think more concretely over time about declaring your intention for financial support of our center. So that will come in early November. In fact, I invite you to set aside November 7th, right after the service. We're going to have a little online party where we're going to share with you where we've been in 2021, where we anticipate going in 2022. And at that time, we are actually going to invite you to declare your financial intentions, but that's not coming until November 7th. Just begin to consider what that might look like for you, where your heart is leading you, and see if there isn't any divine inspiration that comes. And so let's begin right now. Let's turn within. Breathing deeply, we center ourselves in the infinite mind and heart of God. We know that we are always centered in the infinite heart and mind of God. This is always the spiritual truth of us, and yet we remind ourselves right now of that truth and consciously enter into that awareness that the power, the presence, the beingness of the infinite, that place where we dig deep, that place that is the infinite resource of love, of grace, of power, of connection. And that infinite mind of God in which all mind is contained. My mind, my heart live in that mind. And so all that is known to the mind of God is known to me right here and right now. And I simply allow myself to know how I am called to be in the world. Declare this truth in your own heart right now. My mind, God's mind, one mind. All that is required of me is known to the mind of God, is provided to me by the loving heart of God. As I prepare to set my intentions, as I prepare to call forth God's divine idea for my life, for our beloved unity, community, and for the world in 2022. And so right now you just plant this Brazil nut seed in the soil of consciousness. Confident that we are creating the conditions in which that soil, that seed breaks open and provides a strong tree with a bountiful harvest. And so I close this message grateful and confident. It is already done in the mind of God, and so it is done in our lives, right here and right now. And so it is. Amen.
Listen, gather round. I found something that you can use. And if you listen well, I'm here to tell you you cannot lose. A simple song, simple melody, to remind you that you can be the greatest ever, defeated never. Even though sometimes you may lose, oh my, yes you can. You can do anything if you try. just try. Yes, you can, but you have to believe and rely on what you have inside. You can make it through your trials, though your trials will just make you strong. You can do anything. Yes, you can. Oh, teach your children well. It's time to tell them just who they are. Train them as they go. Let them know that they can go far. Oh, my brother, why do you wait? Tomorrow might just be too late. For love is the provision. Make the decision. Yes, you can do all things through your faith. Oh my, yes you can. You can do anything if you try. Just try. Yes, you can. But you have to believe and rely on what you have inside. You can make it through your trials, but your trials will just make you strong. You can do anything. Yes, you can. Oh, yes, you can. I can. I can. I can. I can do anything. I can. I can. I can. I can do anything. I can. I can. Yes, I can do anything. No matter what, if you can just conceive it. If you believe it, then you can achieve it. I can. Yes, I can do anything. No matter what, if you can just conceive it. If you believe it, then you can achieve it. I can. Yes, I can do anything. No matter what, if you can just conceive it. If you believe it, then you can achieve it.
Thank you, Leora and Ray. Dig deep to go high. Yes, you can. What a more apt expression of that than to affirm your abundance by support of our center. My name is Jean Palmatier, and I'm your board host for today. At Unity, we believe that giving is a declaration of our faith that we are abundantly supported by the universal presence we call God. We believe that it is both true individually and collectively in all aspects of our life. As Reverend Marla said in the affirmation, we are the stuff of spirit itself. And as we go and grow further together, we create a world that works for everyone. For those of you that call this your spiritual home, on behalf of your board of trustees, I'd really like to thank you for giving as a spiritual practice and for keeping the financial aspect of our center in your consciousness and as we move forward in talking about stewardship. Whether the gift that you give is from an employer match program, a regular banking withdrawal, an individual gift each Sunday that's in addition to your pledge, whatever it is, each action is a symbol of your abundance as well as our center's abundance. The circulation of you giving to the center and the center giving back to you in the form of educational practices, Sunday services, and other community building activities demonstrates our belief as a spiritual community that giving is a spiritual practice. If you are visiting us for the first time though, all we really want to say is welcome. Please don't feel obligated to give. What we would really like for you to do is connect with us and learn about what we have to offer. In a few minutes, we're going to have some announcements, and in those announcements, there'll be links that will tie you into our center. Please, please connect with us, and let's get you involved in what we do. So everyone, if you just take a moment and breathe in our center's financial abundance. With this high consciousness, please join me as we declare together our offering affirmation, which is on your screen. I give freely, and for the sheer joy of giving, I know that seeds sown in love produce an overflowing harvest of good for me, for this center, and for all people. Lovingly I give, joyfully I receive. And so it is.
And I give thanks for these gifts in support of our center, for these gifts in support of the individual and world transformation for which we stand. I give thanks for the bounty from which we give, and I consecrate these gifts to the good use of this center and to the expansion of our ministry through the gift of our own tithe. I call it good and very good, and so it is. Amen.
Good morning, everyone. Our beloved center administrator, Monica, is on a vacation day today, so I am here to do this morning's announcements. If you are joining us virtually for the first time, we invite you to join us online for all of our center events. The best way to stay informed about everything that Unity of Bellevue offers is to sign up for our weekly e-newsletter. You can do that on our website at unityofbellevue.org. On the bottom of every page is a link to the sign-up sheet. As Reverend Marla said, the big news is that we're opening our building for in-person services on Sunday, December 5th. Stay tuned for more details over the coming weeks. We will be offering a hybrid service, so we will be both in person and live streaming. And we will be asking everyone who comes in person to be fully vaccinated and masked, please. Sabrina has an announcement for us. Sabrina?
I do. So welcome. Can I have a thumbs up that you hear me, just to make sure? Can you hear me? Oh, okay,
Yes.
good. Sorry.
Yeah, we can.
All right. So first of all, sadly, we have to cancel our trunk or treat event since we had only very low participation. So there will be no trunk or treat next Saturday, but we hope next year we can have a trunk or treat, but this year sadly we won't. Next, I would like to let you know that our Halloween classroom is up. So I created a wonderful Halloween classroom for our youth. You can find it on our website. It's something you can click around with your children, or your children can do that alone and go along, do some arts, some crafts, some videos, music, some meditation for children, all about Halloween. And there will also be a November one and December one coming up. Lastly, I would like to let you know that we have a Blue Jeans Saturday coming up. Yay, landscaping team needs some help because, as you know, fall has arrived and winter comes soon after, and we have a lot to do. So this will be Saturday, November 6th. Starting at 10 a.m. and we hope to see a lot of you there. I will post links to everything I mentioned and everything Dorothy mentioned in just a minute. Also my email address if you have any questions. We will provide some snacks and maybe some music, and it will be a fun event. So thank you. Back to Dorothy.
Thank you, Sabrina. Our prayer chaplains this morning are Lori Coleman and Jennifer Holt. They will be leading a virtual prayer circle 3 minutes after the service ends. If you'd like prayer support, simply stay on after the service. There will be a breakout room for that. If you are not able to attend, simply send your prayer requests to prayerchaplains@unityofbellevue.org or fill out the prayer request form on our website prayer page. Living What Matters meets again this Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific time. This is our free drop-in group focusing on different spiritual practices each week based on the Book of Soul by Mark Nepo. The Zoom link will be in the chat. Our pet blessing comes back on Sunday, November 7th. Email Monica your pet pictures so that animals can be a part of the ceremony and slideshow. Finally, our new member class for the fall semester runs for 3 Tuesdays, beginning on November 16th at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. This is a free class for you to explore what it means to be a member of Unity of Bellevue, and you will have an opportunity at the end of the class to become a member if you so choose. That is it. Thank you.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us this week and every single week. I am so grateful. Have fun this week. Dig deep. Bye, we have one more song from Leora and Jay. It's a good one, so stick around. Stick around for Prayer Circle. Bye-bye.
And I invite you to sing with us too. Climb every mountain, search high and low, follow every byway, every path you know. Climb every mountain, ford every stream, follow every rainbow till you find your dream. A dream that will need all the love you can give. Every day of your life, for as long as you live. Climb every mountain, ford every stream, follow every rainbow till you find your dream. Happy day blessings. God bless.
I live in the spirit of love. I live in the spirit of love. I live in the spirit